going to happen? I'm very weak, I'm fearing something bad might happen. My mother might cry. Hare Krishna. My granny might cry. My daughter might cry. My husband, he might cry. My dog might cry. People nowadays. People like their dogs better than their family, you know. They can all die, but my dog, too important. We ready? Did you do anything? Yesterday we were talking about Sharanagati, right? Surrender. So we have nice Krishna talking about Sharanagati. Very nice. Because it sounds very strict, right? Prema, you need prema, not partial, not conditional, not artificial, sentimental, otherwise not real Sharanagati. That sounds very heavy, isn't it? Very demanding. Panini, did Maya hit you with the heavy lashes and brought you back? He's trying to run away, and then Maya pounding him, and he's like, I better go back, you know? That's what's happening. And he comes back, he's humble. He keeps trying, like maybe Maya won't be so hard this time, you know? Maybe she'll let me enjoy my life. Then she's like, you're back? Bah, bah, bah. Oh, I gotta go back to the devotees. Chant Hare Krishna. It's like a nice shield, you know, in the battle. Right? He goes out there must be another way. And he looks into all of that, doesn't work, disappointed, right? Heavy lashes. Then he's like, okay. Right? Pretty much? Hare Krishna. I said, he'll be back. He just needs to go get smashed by Maya. It sounds very mean-spirited, right? It sounds mean, like harsh. You're Indian, you're all like sensitive people, you know? Right? You don't like all this smashing and blowing up, and you're like peace-loving people, isn't it? We just have to get Pakistan to understand that issue, isn't it? Okay, are we ready?
Yes.
Are you going to play Mridanga? You know how to play?
Not really.
Oh, who knows how to play? No, you can play. Srivas doesn't know how to play. He thinks he does, you know, but I have to, every time he plays, I have to pray for power of tolerance. So like, that's not a good sign, you know. And he's probably praying to Krishna for tolerance with my musical ability as well. Now he's Mr. Bengali, you know. He gave him not even 10 seconds. He couldn't wait, you know. 10 seconds, he failed already, you know. Now he's tapping the top like he's like, you know, do da da ba ba. Krishna's like, I don't really know how to play, you know. Then I'm like telling Srivas doesn't know how to play, and he's like, you see how puffed up we can get, you know? Like really fast, you know? Really fast. And we're going to talk about all of this tonight. Because that's the topic. I'm just giving you preview. We talk about Sharanagati, and 50% of the devotees don't come back after that. It's like too much, you know, too much. This is like too serious, you know. We just wanted to hear some kahani, you know, some lila. I said, this is the lila. This is how conditioned souls get out of Maya. We're part of that lila. Did you know you're part of that lila? You're thinking some other lila. No, you're in the middle of the lila. All right, I better shut up. He's like, yeah, please. Just chant and be happy. Hari. Sharab, were you smiling? Wow. I'm becoming a believer now, you know. If he can smile, I'm becoming a believer. This is actually working. Unbelievable. All right, let's go. Here's another one. Another wannabe Bengali, you know. My Gurudev used to make fun of in Gadagiri, you know, the expert kirtaniyas, you know, and they're doing every trick, you know, they're like really, really good, like really professional. And my Gurudev used to make fun of them, you know. You know, like they just, because they're puffed up. So they're really good, but that makes you puffed up. We're not really good at anything and we're puffed up. You know, if you're like Lord Brahma or Indra, at least you're doing something, right? What's our excuse for being puffed up? What did we accomplish? Hare Krishna. Shishi Gaur Nitai ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Srila Govinda Swami, Srila Gurudeva ki. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Govinda Swami Nityanamine. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasadi Go Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasadi Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasadi Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajikacharya Shishimad Gaur Govinda Swami Srila Gurudeva Ki. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajikacharya Shishimad His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajikacharya Shishimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Brinda Ki. Namacharya Srila Hari-katha Krsna-katha. Brahmsikoho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasudeva Shri Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki. Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamakund Radhakund Giri Govardhan Ki. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki. Shri Mayapur Navadvip Dham Ki. Shri Kshetra Jagannath Puri Dham Ki. Ganga Maya Ki. Jamuna Maya Ki. Bhakti Devi Ki. Tulasi Maharani Ki. Shri Shri Gauranitai Ki. Shri Shri Krishna Balaram Ki. Shri Jagannath Baladev Lady Subhadra Devis Ki. Shri Shri Radha Gopinath Ki. Shri Shri Radha Gopal Ju Ki. Shri Shri Radha Madhava Ki. Premanam Sankirtan Jagya Ki. Gaur Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru, Shri Gauranga Mahaprabhu. Hare Krishna. So we're discussing last night about Hare Krishna. Sharanagati, you came back. Wow, that's a miracle. And I told you, if you come back, we'll quote Shastra, you got to quote the authority. And Prabhupada, Bhagavad Gita, as it is, everything is done. So, nice description about Sharanagati, discussion by Krishna and Srila Prabhupada. So nice to take their advice, their instruction, and then consider, try to understand. There's not a simple topic. Yes, surrender to Krishna. Not so cheap. So we'll read about that tonight. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So reading in the 15th chapter, the Yoga of the Supreme Person, Bhagavad Gita, as it is. Text number 5. 15:5. Please repeat. Nirmāna-mohā, jita-saṅga-doṣā, adhyātma-nityā, vinivṛtta-kāmāḥ, dvandvair, vimuktāḥ, sukha-duḥkha-saṁjñair, gacchanti, amūḍhāḥ, padam, avyayaṁ, tat. Nirmāna-mohā, jita-saṅga-doṣā, adhyātma-nityā, vinivṛtta-kāmāḥ, dvandvair, vimuktāḥ, sukha-duḥkha-saṁjñair, gacchanti, amūḍhāḥ, padam, avyayaṁ, tat. Please repeat. Ni, without. Māna, false prestige. Mohā, and illusion. Jita, having conquered. Saṅga, of association. Doṣāḥ, the false. Adhyātma, in spiritual knowledge. Nityāḥ, in eternity. Vinivṛtta, disassociated. Kāmāḥ, from lust. Dvandvair, from the dualities. Vimuktāḥ, liberated. Sukha-duḥkha, happiness and distress. Saṁjñaiḥ, named. Gacchanty, attain. Amūḍhāḥ, unbewildered. Padam, situation. Avyayaṁ, eternal. Tat, that. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Krishna speaking to Arjuna, and through Arjuna to the rest of mankind. So this is meant for every conditioned soul to understand. Krishna speaking to Arjuna. And Krishna says, those who are free from false prestige, illusion, and false associations, who understand the eternal, who are done with material lusts, who are freed from the dualities of happiness and distress, and who, unbewildered, know how to surrender unto the Supreme Person, they attain to that eternal kingdom. Please repeat. I'll see if you're awake. To those who are free from false prestige, illusion, and false association, who understand the eternal, who are done with material lust, who are freed from the dualities of happiness and distress, and who, unbewildered, know how to surrender unto that Supreme Person, attain to that eternal kingdom. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada says, the surrendering process is described here very nicely. Mataji said, please tell us about Sharanagati. Last night, Prabhupada said, the surrendering process, Sharanagati, is nicely, very nicely described here. The first qualification is that one should not be deluded by pride. Because the conditioned soul is puffed up, thinking himself the Lord of the material nature, it is very difficult for him to surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One should know by the cultivation of real knowledge that he is not the Lord of the material nature. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Bhagavan, he is the Lord. When one is free from delusion, which is caused by pride, he can begin the process of surrender. When one is freed from delusion, which is caused by pride, he can begin the process of surrender. For one who is always expecting some honor in this material world, it is not possible to surrender to the Supreme Person. For one who is always expecting some honor in this material world, it is not possible to surrender to the Supreme Person. Pride is due to illusion. For although one comes here, stays for a brief time, and then goes away, he has the foolish notion or idea that he is the Lord of the world. He thus makes all things complicated, and he is always in trouble. The whole world moves under this impression. People are considering the land, this earth, it belongs to the human society. And they have divided that land under the false impression that they are the proprietors. One has to get out of this false notion that human society is the proprietor of this world. When one is freed from such a false notion or idea, he becomes free from all the false associations, the asatsanga, which is caused by the family, familial, social, and national affections or attachments. These faulty associations, they bind one, they force one to stay in the material world. After this stage, one has to develop spiritual knowledge. One has to cultivate knowledge of what is actually his own and what is actually not his own. And when one has an understanding of things as they are, in tattva, he becomes free from all dual conceptions such as happiness and distress, which is just on bodily platform. Pleasure and pain platform. He becomes full in knowledge, then it is possible for him to surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Om Jnana-timirandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Vanchakaptarubhyascha Kripa-sindhubhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Shri Gaur Bhakta-vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Translation again. Those who are free from false prestige, illusion, and false associations, who understand the eternal, who are done with material lust, who are freed from the dualities of happiness and distress, and who, unbewildered, know how to surrender unto the Supreme Person, they attain to that eternal kingdom. So we were talking last night, somebody dies, devotee dies, and they say, oh, now he went back, he's with Prabhupada. He's with Krishna, Radha and Krishna. And I was saying that we're assuming an awful lot. So when I heard my spiritual master talking about surrender, and he's saying that your partial surrender is not real surrender, or your conditional surrender is not real surrender, the surrender that Krishna is talking about. Not the surrender that we're saying that's enough. Krishna says, surrender to me, I'll get you out of Maya. I'll release you from Maya. You surrender to me, I'll destroy all of your sinful desires and your sinful reactions. So how we're thinking we're sincere, we're devotees, we're surrendering, we're doing so many things, right? So why not getting free from Maya? Why still so much sinful desires, sinful attachments? Why so much suffering and anxiety, which is all sinful reaction? So according to our conception of surrender, we should be receiving much more. This is why devotees also, they become very bewildered and they develop doubts because of the pride and the false ego and not being able to see things in the true perspective. Not understanding, Bhaktivinoda Thakur talks about not really understanding our adhikar, our actual qualification. Because if we are deaf, dumb and blind, how can we genuinely understand our actual position? How can we measure that? So we see on some level, yes, I'm surrendering, I'm trying to do something, and we're measuring that surrender. To us, we're thinking, wow, I'm killing myself practically, right? And so we're assessing, measuring how much we're surrendering. And Krishna says, as you surrender, then I reward you accordingly. So if we think that we're more advanced and sincere and serious due to this pride and this blindness, and thinking that we're a senior devotee, we're so dedicated, we're so devoted, we're so elevated, we have the blindness, the pride, false ego, not allowing us to understand the reality of our actual qualification or disqualification. Therefore, we are expecting so much results based on our high perception and calculation of the quality and the quantity of our surrender. And when that doesn't match up, Bhaktivinoda Thakur speaks about this in Chaitanya Shikshamrita. He says, then when you realize that the results that you're getting doesn't match what you think you should be getting, then you'll become doubtful. You'll become morose, disappointed, because we have a false expectation. Right? Krishna says, as you surrender, I reward you. So if we're thinking we're very surrendered, then shouldn't there be a lot of very undeniable results? That is the reward for that surrender. So here Krishna Prabhupada in the purport is very nicely explaining what is the quality and the quantity. Not only the quality and the quantity, but what does it take to be able to actually surrender with quality and with quantity? What does it even take to be able to actually surrender? And then you see how high is the standard. But as devotees, we say, yes, we're surrendering to Krishna, right? Sharanagati, yes, surrender to Krishna. And then it seems that from an apparent point of view, it's not so difficult. But from an absolute point of view, from Krishna's point of view, from Prabhupada's point of view, for those who know what is the actual quality of surrender, then you understand, well, this is a much different level. This is an absolute consideration of surrender versus our apparent relative understanding and perception of our surrender. Does this make sense? I'm not a big scholar, so maybe I'm not saying properly. Maybe you can pray for me, make me more intelligent to convince myself and you. Don't try to figure me out, please. All right? Try to understand that what Krishna is saying what Srila Prabhupada is saying, you just try to understand what are they saying. All right? Don't get misdirected. Should I listen to what is this person saying? Right? You just say, I'm quoting authority. Right? If your mother comes and says, take this rasgulla, you just pop it in your mouth. You don't say, okay, mother, I have to take it to the chemical factory, make sure there's no poison inside of that. Right? Because Krishna is the father, Vedas is like a mother. So if Krishna is directly speaking and Veda is non-different from Krishna, is like a mother, that is just to be accepted. Prabhupada says, who cares about your opinion? Who cares about my opinion? What does Krishna say? What is the authority according to Guru Sadhu Shastra? That's what we should be at. Is this presentation according to Guru Sadhu Shastra? Then you should accept it. The Prabhupada says that's the only thing to be heard. Krishna, Vedic knowledge, Krishna Parampara, as it is. That's the only thing that's perfect. Perfect knowledge from perfect source. That's why Prabhupada said, present it as it is. Don't add anything, don't subtract anything. Then if you have mercy of Krishna, Krishna Parampara, mercy of Shastra, mercy of Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, then those words will have potency and effect to persuade us or to give us the benefit of that association through hearing. So this is a very nice detailed breakdown of what are the qualifications that are required of us to be able to actually surrender. We're already thinking we're surrendered, right? But when you see what is the actual qualification to be able to surrender with the quality and the quantity that Krishna is expecting from us, then after hearing Prabhupada's purport, when we say, well, I'm not even met the pre-qualification to even begin to surrender. So of course you'll then say, well, then what am I calling surrender? What is the quality and the quantity of what I'm considering to be my surrender? When we don't even meet the qualification to be even able to properly surrender. So this is scientific details. Prabhupada said that Krishna consciousness is exacting science. But if you just say, yes, surrender to Krishna. Yes, we're surrendered to Krishna. Apparently. So if you're satisfied with your apparent surrender and the results or lack of results that you're getting, then continue. If you want to understand how to get better results, undeniable results, that means we need to go to school. We need to study the science of Krishna consciousness from Krishna and Krishna Parampara according to Guru Sadhu and Shastra. It's a breakdown of that information. And that's how my spiritual master trained us. I read this verse hundreds of times before I met my spiritual master. I was reading Prabhupada's books 2 and 3 hours a day, every day, religiously, for years. I'm not saying just picking up a book and read, I'm telling you studying kind of reading. Okay? So I was very serious about that. And I saw how far could I get. So it's not that there's no benefit, it's the sincerity to really understand it. Krishna will mark it, Prabhupada will mark it. And now how are they going to help us to understand it? So last night when I said Krishna, somehow he sent my spiritual master, I wasn't looking for a spiritual master. I didn't even want to go to the class, to be honest with you, because I already heard everybody. I didn't think it was possible, available. So what's the big deal? That's how I was thinking. So I was more than pleasantly surprised that this thing happened, how I met Srila Gaura Govinda Maharaj. But as soon as Krishna convinced me that this was his arrangement and that he was using this personality to help me to develop further in my spiritual life, then immediately I turned to Srila Prabhupada, because I was only worshipping Srila Prabhupada. And I said, Prabhupada, I thought that my worshipping you, you're my guru. I don't need anything else. I don't need anybody else. But you know I need more help to really understand him and his teachings and how to advance in spiritual life. I immediately thanked Srila Prabhupada. I don't even know, Prabhupada, that I need help. Because I'm thinking I'm fine. I have Prabhupada, I have the Shastra, I have my Seva. But Prabhupada knows. So when I met my guru, Srila Gaura Govinda Swami, and he explained the details of what's in Prabhupada's books, that's why I was saying, where is this in Prabhupada's books? When I started hearing him explain everything, I said, I never saw that in Prabhupada's books. And I would just think like, you know, this sounds different. I don't remember reading that like that, understanding that like that in Prabhupada's book. And then Maharaja would just say, yeah, it's right here. I told you, right? And every time you say, yeah, it's right here. Prabhupada says like this. Then he read the same thing. And even I would go back to my room and I couldn't believe, because I was so much putting all my faith and trust in Srila Prabhupada, you see? So especially in the beginning, I wanted to be 100% convinced, because all of our faith and trust is in our Shiksha Gurus and Srila Prabhupada. Then once he kept proving to me that what he was explaining was in Srila Prabhupada's books, and then he's explaining and breaking it down scientifically, and it's starting to like open up and make more and more sense. And then my faith in Srila Prabhupada was increasing, because I understood everything is there. It just needs to be understood from someone who understands it. That's why Prabhupada says you cannot understand it just by reading. You have to hear from someone who understands it. That's why it's called Shrota. Shrota Parampara means process of hearing. Prabhupada said out of all the ninefold processes of bhakti, Shravanam is first and most important aspect of devotional service. Without learning how to do nice Shravanam, you cannot do any of the other ninefold processes of bhakti, Prabhupada says. Without becoming expert in Shravanam. Prabhupada said if you're expert in Shravanam, you'll be expert in speaking. If you don't hear nicely, you'll not be able to speak it. First you have to hear it, realize it, get the benefit effect of the hearing, then you can explain it. Then you'll be conversant, because it's your realization, it's your faith. Guru Sadhu Shastra says like this, and that's your personal experience. That's how Krishna convincing. So if we don't hear from one who knows and sees, now the problem is this pride, Prabhupada is saying the problem is the pride, is that we think, well, what makes this person think he can see and I can't see? And it must be very tough if you're in an Indian body. This guy's gonna come over here and, tell us about Vedic culture. Are you serious? I'm assuming it must be not easy. You know what I mean? Because sometimes I see the Indian people when they come to America, right? And the guy's like a millionaire and he looks like a rickshaw wallah from Calcutta. The way he's dressing, he's got stripes and plaid, and he's got all these different kind of his own style, right? So you can't, it's like you can take the guy out of the town, but you can't take the town out of that guy, So to change your nature and your culture, this is not easy thing. So this topic is not about this body or what culture you're born in, this total bodily conception. This is transcendental soul realization and knowledge. And without mercy of Krishna, without mercy of Krishna Parampara, Vaishnavas, Shastra, nobody can realize this thing. When I heard someone who knows what it is, then I was like, I've read that so many times. I never saw that before. I never understood that before. I would have to reread it like, that's really there? I would highlight it. It's like finding golden nugget. I used to call them golden nuggets. Right? These guys are looking for the gold, right? Boop, 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 boop. Right? Oh, tattva vichar, absolute consideration. Boop, 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 boop. Right? Focus. There it is. So when I heard absolute truth from Tattvavid Guru, from Prabhupada's books especially, Guru Sadhu and Shastra, then I realized what I was reading and studying, my understanding, look at it scientifically, my understanding when I heard absolute truth was I was totally misunderstanding these points. And I was just going for years based on a misconception. Because my reading and my understanding of that was tainted. It was contaminated somehow by our culture, by our behavior, by our false education, by hearing from wrong teacher. Many things can contribute to that misunderstanding. So then when I heard the real presentation, then I thought, wow, many things I was reading, I was misunderstanding that point, right? Then I would continue to hear, and I would say, and all of these things that he's revealing to me from Prabhupada's books and teachings, I never saw before. This is like the first time I ever even heard this. Then the third thing was, when I did get something right, I'm not that bad, it was very shallow. It was not deeply realized. It was just on like an intellectual, logical, rational, grammatical point of view. Then I could see, this is the difference between depending on your scholarship and your reading and your studying alone. This is how far I got. Now, I may have overcompensated because of pride, false ego, that I think I have knowledge, I'm more advanced, I'm giving classes, right? I didn't have a true perspective of my actual adhikar. because of pride, false ego. So I'm thinking I'm understanding it. And then we will project ourselves that because I understand this and I'm reading and I'm studying this and you're not, that makes me superior, right? That means you should, call me Prabhu, right? That means I'm senior devotee. Then you may not say, but you'll definitely think like that. If you have gyan, it makes you puffed up. That's the problem with gyan. As soon as you get gyan, you think, okay, I know more than these other people. Immediately you'll get puffed up. You'll project yourself. You'll demand respect. My Gurudev used to say, Gyanis are the greatest cheaters because they're running after pratishtha. They're running after name and fame by using this gyan. So Prabhupada says the first qualification in the surrendering process is that you should not be deluded, blind, due to pride. This pride is demoniac quality, and it's a great stumbling block on the path of bhakti, of surrendering. Conditioned soul, Prabhupada said 99.9% of the people in this world, they don't know what to do and what not to do. Because conditioned soul is puffed up, they think they know. My Gurudev used to say, if you're sitting there, what is this guy going to say that I don't already know? Come on. That's a puffed up. Right? He's like, I'm a Vaishnava from birth. My mother and father are devotees. Like, who's this guy? He's like we used to say in English, we call Johnny come lately. He's a Johnny come lately. I saw with my own daughter, when she came to India, they asked her to speak in the Padayatra. So I was just a little bit like, what is she saying? And then she's saying, you see, we're born in Vaishnava family. Our mother and father, they're devotee, you see? I said, oh, she's a little puffed. She's a little puffed. Right? And then mom or dad, they might have joined later, right? So then I have to go to her, oh, Vrindavani, my daughter, can you shower your mercy on me? You're Vaishnava from birth. So we can get puffed up about anything. Isn't it? So Prabhupada's saying here, conditioned soul is puffed up. And because of being puffed up, it's very difficult for them to surrender to Supreme Personality of Godhead. So the process of bhakti, Prabhupada says, is process of hearing, right? So if we don't surrender to the hearing process, how will we get the benefits and the effect of that shravana? Prabhupada said that the gift of the spiritual master, it's not received through any other part of your body except your ear. So all the gifts from Krishna that he wants to give you through the Guru, through Guru Sadhu Shastra, will come into your ear. But if we're puffed up and we don't surrender to the hearing process, then how will we get all the effects and all the benefits from Krishna, which is delivered through shravanam, through hearing? You can say, okay, I'm hearing. All right, what do you get to say? That's not hearing. That's you're standing there with a microscope, a telescope, right? You're fact-checking the Guru. Right? You can't fact check Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. Unless you're Krishna, then you can say, okay, is he speaking as it is? Right? But if we're not the witness and the judge of the absolute truth, then Prabhupada said, you only just have to receive it. So the path of bhakti is path of hearing, Prabhupada said, which comes from submissive aura reception. The whole process from a Shraddha to prema, every single development of faith is going to come through submissive aura reception. If we don't learn how to surrender, how we can do submissive aura reception? So the pride, thinking we know, will not allow us to do submissive aura reception. We'll be skeptical, we'll be suspicious, we'll be cynical, we'll be challenging, right? That's not surrender, that's not... Of course, you have to have faith and trust that what's being presented is authoritative, according to Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. Doesn't mean foolishly surrender and be submissive and hear anybody say any damn thing. That's not what it's telling. Don't be foolish. Have some common sense. Right? Prabhupada said, you don't go shopping for a diamond in the milk store. So you gotta have some common sense. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says, if somebody comes and offers you some gold, you should find out which mind did it come from. Where did you get it from? So you must understand the Krishna Shota Parampara, that's how that mercy and that knowledge and realization and faith, that's how it's delivered through submissive aura reception in Shota Parampara. So Prabhupada said, one place Prabhupada said, you know, you want to glorify me? I'm paraphrasing, but Prabhupada said, you're telling many things. He said, I have many imperfections. He said, but if you receive perfect knowledge from a perfect source, and you present it perfectly without adding and subtracting anything from it, that is my perfection. That is my perfection. According to your external calculation, so much imperfection may be there. Prabhupada explained. But if I tell you perfect knowledge from perfect source and I deliver it to you perfectly, without adding or subtracting anything, Prabhupada said, that means my knowledge is perfect. That is my perfection. So find out, where did you do Shravanam? What is the mind that you received that gold? So it must be in Krishna Parampara. Now Prabhupada says in 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, do you want to look at that? Do you have time? You have patience? Huh? I have to back it up, otherwise you'll think I'm speculating. I'm just making stuff up. He's just a big talker, right? So I got to back it up. My Gurudev said, back it up. Like a law book. So we're going to back it up. Let Krishna convince you. Let Prabhupada convince you. We'll use Prabhupada's own words. Let's see how much faith you have in Prabhupada. How much you can hear Prabhupada's instructions. This would be a nice test. How much do you understand it? So in 18th chapter, This is conclusion, perfection of renunciation. I'm getting to this other verse, but I just saw one highlighted statement in the purport. I'm getting to some other verse. But Prabhupada says there's no possibility of faithless persons understanding Bhagavad Gita and Krishna. Without understanding Krishna from the authority of a pure devotee, one should not even try to comment upon the Bhagavad Gita. So you cannot understand it unless you do the Shravanam from bona fide authorized source. And when you understand it by the mercy of Guru and Krishna, then Guru and Krishna will instruct you. Now you go explain it. If you don't understand it, you don't realize it, then why Guru and Krishna will tell you go explain it, go preach it. My Gurudev would laugh and say, if you don't hear and realize it, what are you going to preach? You'll just preach your misconception. So, at the end of this 18th chapter, let's get into it. All right? You want to get into it? You want to have a nice discussion?
Yes.
Or you want me just to, give you a cookie and a garland and... So after Krishna preached to Arjuna, everything, he said, because you're my friend, you're my bhakta, you have love, devotion to me, you're not envious of me, I'll explain everything to you. Well, end of the 18th chapter, then finally Krishna said, O son of Pritha, O Arjuna, O conqueror of wealth, have you heard this with an attentive mind? Without surrender, submissive or reception, how you can hear with a tentative mind. Have you heard this with an attentive mind? And are your ignorance and your illusions now dispelled or over? So who we should hear from, who we should surrender to and submissively hear from, only Krishna will tell you who is that person. Until Krishna convinces you who you should surrender to and do this submissive or reception, you cannot, this katha will never enter inside of you. That faith and intelligence, Prabhupada says, that will come from Chaitya-guru, Paramatma, Super Soul. He'll give you intelligence and faith, and he'll dictate to you. You should accept, this is my arrangement, you should accept this person as your spiritual master. Krishna will dictate to you. Unless Krishna dictates to you and gives you intelligence and faith, how you'll surrender and do submissive or reception? You'll be suspicious, you'll be doubtful, you'll be like, come on. Right? You'll be cynical, challenging. There's no submission, there's no surrender. Because your intelligence, Krishna, if he's not telling you to surrender and do submissive all reception, he's giving you intelligence not to surrender and do submissive all reception. Right? So if he's not giving you intelligence to surrender to do submissive all reception, then why would you do that? Oh, he's a pure devotee. Oh, he's a Maharaja. Oh, he's a guru. Right? Oh, okay. I'll surrender submissive all reception. Why? Because he got a stamp. They said he's a guru, and everybody said he's a pure devotee and he's a guru. Oh, okay, I'll fully surrender and do submissive all reception. Is that what it meant? Shouldn't Krishna convince you? Shouldn't Krishna probably say, Krishna, Paramatma, Antyayami, Chaitya Guru, he'll give you intelligence and faith. Paramatma Tattva. So Paramatma Tattva is same as Guru Tattva. If you don't depend on Krishna, if you don't have a Dao Shraddha, enough faith to depend on Krishna of how he's going to help you and through whom is he going to help you, how will you surrender and do submissive all reception? Why would you? You'd be a fool. Isn't it? So after Krishna preaching, he said, did you hear everything with an attentive mind? Are all of your questions answered? Is your ignorance destroyed? Are your doubts gone now? Is this too heavy? Am I being too heavy? Should I be softer? Am I talking too loud? Are we all right?
Yes.
Just checking. Everybody's sensitive, man. You know what I mean? But the thing is, Maya is just whispering so many things. So the guru has to be heavy to override your mind's speculation and creating some doubt. He has to be more persuasive. If the guru's like weak and light and looking for popularity and wants to be liked by the people, and he's lagu, and he doesn't want to disturb anybody, we're already disturbed. Isn't it? We want to not be disturbed. So we need a better argument. Right? So Krishna Parampara, they're coming with a better argument. Sometimes people will come to my guru's class and say, why Maharaja is so, like, why is he screaming? You know? They say, why he's just like so? First of all, he's a teacher. So he knows when you have tired, sleepy students, you can't just be like, okay, today we're going to talk about everyone will be snoring. So he has to make it like dynamic to capture your mind, to make you attentive to the subject matter. Then you can assess it. Is this information going to help me or not? Isn't it? All you can do is present. This is Krishna, this is Prabhupada, this is Guru Sadhu Shastra. Then you decide. That's why Krishna said, okay, here it is. Here's all the information. I told you everything. Now you decide. You decide whether you'll accept it or you'll not accept it. So here Prabhupada says in the purport, the Lord was acting as the spiritual master of Arjuna. Therefore, it was his duty to inquire from Arjuna whether he understood the whole Bhagavad Gita in the proper perspective. So the teacher just doesn't say, okay, I taught you everything. I don't know if you heard me. I don't know if you understand me, but you know, I did my job. Right? The teacher's like, are you understanding this point? Do you have any questions? Do you have any doubt? Is there anything not clear? Right? If you're a really good teacher, You want to make sure that student really, as much as possible, understands that point. Isn't it? It's not like you just float out some knowledge and walk away. I did my part, man. I don't know how these people, that's up to them. Right? So Prabhupada says here that because he's spiritual master, he asking, inquiring from Arjuna, did you understand everything? Do you have any other question? Do you have any other doubt? Is there any other thing? And Prabhupada says, if not, the Lord was ready to re-explain any point. He was ready to re-explain any point or the whole Bhagavad Gita if it was required. That's a teacher. So he's going to leave you, if you're participating and you're a bona fide student and he's a bona fide teacher, he'll make sure you understand every single point as much as possible. Oh, what makes this guy think he knows the absolute truth? He's going to explain every single point, right? This is a problem. So don't judge by your eyeballs. Judge by the how do you say, the details and the quality of the discussion. Analyze with your ear, not with your eyeball. That's better. And then when you're hearing, listen and pray to Krishna in your heart. He's source of all knowledge and intelligence. And ask Krishna inside, how should I understand this point? What are you trying to explain in this point? And then how does that affect me? Every point in the Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, every single philosophical point is meant for every soul. It's not that you hear something, it's like, oh yeah, you know, Panini, he really needs to hear that. Right? I remember one time I preached, I was looking at the devotee, right? I'm preaching really heavy, you know. And after the class, he was from Europe somewhere. After the class, I said, did you get all of that? Did you like the class? Was it helpful? He said, yeah. You really told these Indian people like what to do, you know? And I was like amazed. I said, look, that class was meant for you, Baba. Why you say the Indian people? Right? So the whole time he's hearing every instruction, he's saying, yep, she needs to follow that, yep. He's instructing that devotee, right? It's meant for us. So every bit of truth, every instruction from Krishna is meant for our soul. How do we apply Krishna's instruction to our soul, to our life? What does that mean to us? We should consider. And we should pray to Krishna, how do I understand it? That is submissive our reception, depending on Krishna. Prabhupada says, actually, anyone who hears Bhagavad Gita, Krishna's instructions, anyone who hears Krishna's instructions from a bona fide spiritual master, like Krishna, or his true representative, will find that all of his ignorance is dispelled, destroyed. So one time I asked Srila Gaur-Govinda, I said, Maharaj, so many gurus are there, everybody's talking about Krishna. Krishna, 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 Krishna. I said like this, Krishna, Krishna, everyone's saying Krishna, 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 Krishna. But if you're conditioned soul, how can you tell whether somebody is just speaking theoretically or whether someone is speaking with actual realization of the tattva? How's a conditioned soul going to differentiate that? How we're going to understand? And then Maharaj said, theoretical will not work. You judge by the results. What is the effect? What is the effect? He said you judge by the effect. So Prabhupada also says, right? You judge by the results. So here Prabhupada is saying that if you really hear properly from proper source, bona fide guru, you will find that all of your questions will be answered reasonably according to Guru Sadhana and Shastra. Your consciousness, your ignorance will be dispelled, will be destroyed. You'll become more and more pure, more and more serious about surrendering to Krishna, not surrendering to Maya. And all of your doubts will be destroyed. That's an undeniable fact. If you hear properly from bona fide guru, this is the results and the effect that you should absolutely get if we do it properly from proper source. The whole Bhagavad Gita, especially in the beginning, Arjuna is saying, you're my guru, I have this question. First you said this, then you said that. How do I reconcile that? Now I have these demons. I have these doubts. These doubts are like demons. How do I destroy those doubts? So we're conditioned soul, we're beginning in spiritual life. We have so many questions. Everything is very, very complex. You cannot say everything is in the Shastra. Yeah, the 4 Vedas are there. All the 4 Vedas. You have a question and a doubt, study the 4 Vedas. Right? It's like 1 million instructions there. Let's say. Of course, every word is an instruction, but that's another topic. Every sentence is an instruction. Now, how do you know which of those instructions is meant for you? Prabhupada telling that the bona fide guru, he knows the psychophysical nature of his student, his disciple. And therefore he says, you are fit to work in the DD department. You are fit to work in the kitchen. You should distribute books. You should do this, you should do that, right? So there's so many seva. So how do we know what Krishna specifically wants us to do? Which one of those instructions meant for us? And then how do you reconcile all of these seemingly opposite or different types of perspectives and presentations? They're very complex. Who will explain it to you? So it's very natural that we'll have so many questions. When I joined in ISKCON, I used to drive my Sankirtan leader crazy because I had so many questions. He's like, come on, man, you know? I was like, what about this and this and this and this? Right? And he's like, sometimes he was into it. A lot of times he was just tired, you know? You have so many questions, you know? I said, because I really want to understand it. Right? Otherwise, why should I accept it? I have doubts, I have questions, I want to understand it. Convince me. I'm not opposed. I just want to be convinced. I want to be convinced, but I'm not going to do it blindly. So you convince me with evidence according to Guru Sadhana and Shastra, which is undeniable, and when I follow it, I'll get undeniable result. Then I'll accept it. Is that reasonable? Should I just blindly accept it? So what happened was, years later, he came to me and he thanked me. He said, you made me a better preacher. Because you forced me by your questions to find the answers. So when I couldn't answer you, I had to go study Prabhupada's books and try to say, oh, Krishna, Prabhupada, how do I answer this guy's question? He has so many questions. So in spiritual life, unless we're like a rock, or one step up from a rock, we should have like so many questions. This is an unbelievably subtle science, beyond subtle. Vaikuntha subject matter. And we're like, so I asked, you have any questions? No, not really. No, I'm good. Right? So that's going to convince you to fully surrender and do submissive all reception? How are we doing, all right? Are you alive? Am I killing the patient? Do you have any questions so far? It's like a seminar. It's interactive. Many times my Gurudev, he's going to explain, right? And he was just said something and he said, oh, wait a second. Let's define what that word means, first of all. Right? I said, one must associate with the devotee. Then Maharaja said, okay, first of all, what does association mean? It means Shravanam, Kirtanam. Then who's a devotee? Let's define what and who is a devotee. We're all saying we're devotees. We're all surrendered to Krishna. Right? So we can give the same association as anybody else? Prabhupada says the Bhagavad Gita is not an ordinary book written by a poet or a fiction writer. It is spoken by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, Bhagavan. Any person who is fortunate enough to hear these teachings from Krishna or his bona fide representative is sure to become a liberated person and get out of the darkness of ignorance. So if we're not becoming a liberated person and getting out of the darkness of ignorance, that simply means we're not hearing properly from proper source. One time I was in America. Where were you in America?
Houston.
Houston? Houston, okay. I was there some years back. You were probably a little baby then. Now you're a big boy. So, what was I going to say? About,
you were in a temple.
huh? What?
You were in a temple.
Oh, I was in the temple. I was giving a class. So I gave a class where Prabhupada, I did all this research and I found out what is the effects that we should get if we're properly hearing in proper association. That was the seminar. What is the effects that we should perceive if we are properly hearing in the proper association? Nice, right? Interesting topic. Like, don't you want to know, like, what benefits are you supposed to get? Right? You sign up for anything, it's like, what are the benefits? What are you guaranteeing me? So this is the effects, the gifts, that's the benefits that you will get if you do it properly, if you do this surrender, submissive, all reception from proper source. So I said, everybody has a guru, right? I think they'll really like this topic. So anyway, I started. I forget which temple it was. I don't think it was Houston. They want to hear kahani, lila. So, I'm so sarcastic, please excuse me, you know. Sometimes it slips out of me, you know. It's some bad habit I have, so don't mind. So anyway, I start giving this class. This is what Prabhupada says are all the effects that you will get by proper hearing and proper association. And everyone's like, fantastic. Who doesn't want to hear about benefits and effects, right? So then I start saying that if you're hearing properly, proper source, then all of your ignorance should be dispelled. All of your questions regularly should be being reasonably answered according to Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. All of your doubts, Krishna says your doubts are like demons. As long as you have doubts, it's like undermining your faith and your determination to surrender. So your doubts will go. Then we'll become more peaceful. Then we'll stop all of this mental speculation. We'll become free from mental speculation and worry and anxiety and plan making and guessing and groping what to do, how to do. Right? So I'm going through all of this list and everybody's like looking really like uptight. Like not happy with me. So I'm like, why are the devotees not happy? I thought they will get happy hearing all of the benefits and the effects of proper hearing from proper source. Then I realized, oh, because they're not getting any of those things, now they're losing faith in themselves and the Guru. It's like, well, you know, I'm not getting that. Right, it's like you have a credit card or something, right? It's like, what benefits are you getting? Then you see another one, they say, well, you get all of these benefits. It's like, well, I'm not getting that. I'm not getting that one. Right? Whatever it is, right? You may, okay, this is what my benefits are, and this is what this one is giving. It's like, wait a second, that one's superior. Right? So all of a sudden I realized, if you went down, okay, if you hear properly from proper source, you should become completely purified. Yes, by hearing from my Guru, check, happened. Any question I had, he automatically, spontaneously, according to Guru, Sadhu and Shastra, answered my question and satisfied me by that answer, check. That's what I got from my Guru. Any doubt I had, any confusion I had what to do, he solved everything, answered everything, destroyed the doubt, check. So when you're checking everything, it means you're doing properly in right association. Well, what if you can't check anything? You're going to start doubting. I'm not getting that. I still have all these questions. I have all of these doubts. I'm not getting purified. Nothing's getting clear. I'm groping in the dark. I'm still acting as own Guru. So much anxiety, so much what to do, how to do, so much uncertainty, so much speculation. Those results means we're not hearing properly from proper source, means we're just listening to our own stupid mind. And why are we doing that? It's because of pride and false ego. We think we know what's best for us. We think our intelligence, mind and senses can understand everything. Therefore, we don't have to listen to anything anyone else. That's a pride. Prabhupada said this pride, false ego, great obstacle on the path of surrender and bhakti. When I came, I met my godbrother in Bhubaneswar, a very smart guy from Orissa, Oriya Basi, right? Then he said, you see, I am knowing everything. I never heard anyone in my life say, I am knowing everything. You might think it. You might think if I apply my intelligence, mind and senses, I can probably understand everything. You might think you have that ability, right? But can you come out and say publicly, I am knowing everything? So Prabhupada says, if you are thinking like that, you didn't even begin to understand what it means to surrender to Krishna. That means complete false ego platform. Pride, great stumbling block. It makes you blind. It blinds you. So not the right perspective, you see? So, how we doing? Are we all right? We still have 2 more hours. I try to give you as much as I can before you're ready to leave your body. Right? Just shy of killing you. Right? Because the whole idea not to kill the patient, right? Is give as much treatment, as much information, as much benefit as possible, and then just, that's it. Otherwise you go a little bit too much, whoop. Another one bites the dust, you know? You can stop me. You can tell me anything. You can complain. I can keep going. Can you handle it? Can you handle the truth? Then Arjuna is saying, my dear Krishna, oh infallible one, now after hearing from you, my illusion is now gone. Check. I have regained my memory by your mercy. Check. Proper hearing, proper source. I am now firm and free from all of my doubts. Check. And now I'm prepared to act according to your instructions. That's like the perfect statement of the effects that we should expect by proper hearing from proper source. If that's not happening, something's wrong. Something's wrong. Now Prabhupada says the speaker, he must be qualified. Otherwise it won't be effective. And the hearer, he must also be qualified. So now if you cannot, how do you say, undeniably say that you're getting those results and effects, something's wrong. Right? You judge by the results. The results are not saying that. That means I've misunderstood something, or I'm not doing something, somehow it's not working. Right? Prabhupada says, like, if you want to have a child, the man has to be potent, the woman has to be fertile. Right? Then you can have child. No child's coming means there's some problem here. It's either you or me or both of us. But anyway, the results are saying, or the lack of results is saying, something's not working. Right? So now when you hear that, then we should think, okay, am I doing everything? Am I really qualified hearer? Prabhupada said that to hear, to be submissive, you should be perfectly anxious to understand. Not, it would be interesting, not, oh, I'm curious. No, I have to know. That's perfect anxiousness to understand Krishna. So what it's going to take for us to come to that point of perfect anxiousness to have to hear Krishna. Krishna knows. But that prerequisite of the hearer, that type of greed and inquisitiveness, that quality of inquisitiveness and greed, that is the qualification of the hearer. Now, if you convince Krishna you're that kind of hearer, and you're willing to become that kind of hearer, and you want to be, absolutely convinced by Krishna, I have to know, now Krishna has to convince you. Now Krishna has to send the right person to you who can convince you. If you don't want to be convinced, why will Krishna send someone to you potentially who could convince you? It makes no sense. Right? If nobody wants to talk on a cell phone, why will you build 5 towers in the town? There's no need for it. So if Prabhupada says hardly anybody is serious about going back home, back to Godhead, then why will Krishna send those people a bona fide guru? Prabhupada said, you don't think you have a problem. You think you're managing just fine. You're acting as your own guru. Why? You don't need a guru. Why will Krishna send you a guru? When Krishna is seeing Arjuna acting independently, deciding to do, what not to do, how to do, right? Krishna knows. He could have told him. He's his dear friend, love and affection, no envious. Why Krishna not preach to him? Because Krishna said he's busy trying to figure it out. It didn't bother him. He didn't have to, I have to put on my guru outfit now. Like Superman, right? He just looks like ordinary person, Then when there's like some crime or something, he gets into this other uniform, right? So Krishna just being Krishna. And it's okay, he doesn't want me to be the guru. So I won't preach to him. And then when Arjuna said to Krishna, okay, let's stop the friendly talks. Now I want to hear something serious. Now I just want to surrender to you because my way not working. Now I'm soul surrendered unto you. Now I'm all ears to hear from you. Tell me decisively and specifically what is my duty? What are my instructions? Before that, Krishna not telling. So if we don't want to hear from Krishna, why talk about guru? Is he a guru? Is he a guru? Am I a guru? Who's a guru? Everybody's a guru. Nobody's a guru. Like 50 years later, everyone's trying to figure out, well, we have a committee, and the Shastric Advisory Committee, and we're trying to figure out like who's a guru, I'm a guru, she's a guru, are you a guru, I'm a guru, nobody's a guru, we're all gurus, right? This is how we're going to understand Guru Tattva? After 50 years of scholarship and politics and personal ambition, they still don't know what is Guru Tattva. You ask the guru, Maharaj, can you explain to me Guru Tattva? They say, well, right now it's in beta.
Testing, beta testing.
Right, it's in the beta. What is it?
Beta testing.
Right, it's supposed to be, what is it? What is that saying? Achintya beta tattva. It's achintya beta tattva. It's in the beta. It's inconceivably not revealed yet. It's inconceivably not, it's not,
Not finished yet.
what do they call it?
Not finished.
Yeah, but it's not like when they finally roll it out. Huh?
Final version.
Yeah. When they finally say, okay, it's out of beta. Now it probably won't crash your phone, which is another interesting statement. If it probably might crash my phone, is it really done with the beta? You know, anyway, that's a different topic. So, Guru Maharaj, are you going to bring us back to Godhead? I heard this, right? Devotees in Thailand, they heard it with me. Guru Maharaj, are you going to bring us back to Godhead? And the Maharaj is like, boy, I hope so. And I was like, he's not even convinced. He's like, boy, I hope this works, you know? Like, boy, I hope so. Now, if you're a disciple and the guru's saying, boy, I hope this works, you know? Right? It's like throwing mud on the wall, and you're like, I hope some of it sticks, you know? So Guru Maharaj, can you please explain to me Guru Tattva? Because you're a guru. And say, well, I'm a little hesitant to explain it because it's not finalized yet, because it's in the beta testing.
Beta.
They tried to roll it out earlier and there was some flaws, some inconsistencies. Some people died. Literally.
Yeah.
Literally. But anyway, let's not get too political. We are in the Dham. Right? ISKCON owns the Dham, right? They are the proprietors, Baba. So, yeah, as soon as that comes out, they're going to give us the information, what is Guru Tattva. And I promise you this, all right? As soon as I get that information, you're going to be the first people I explain it to. Oh, okay, Maharaj, I feel special. Because I'm in that select group of the first people who get the rollout after the beta has been finalized. I'm not technological guy, so I'm probably making a lot of mistakes, but you got my point. You get the essence of what I'm talking about. Guru Maharaj, are you gonna bring me back to Godhead? I mean, if he could have made a face, it was like this. Boy, I hope so. And that's exactly what he said. Boy, I hope so. And I was like, if you're a disciple, like, how much confidence will that give you? Like, you're thinking, okay, I gotta like surrender my whole life, and this person's supposed to bring me back to Godhead or give me the information how to get there. And he's like, boy, I hope so. And then this other Maharaj, right, he's writing books on Diksha Shiksha Guru, right? Literally. He's like the authority. And he's saying, You don't have to be liberated, and you don't have to have connection with Krishna. Still you can be a guru. So I was like, wow, how Maharaj saying like this? So I said, I have to ask this Maharaj a question. My questions are very dangerous. Especially in Bhubaneswar. He come into Bhubaneswar saying the guru doesn't have to be liberated. So I said, Maharaj, can I ask you a question? Yes. I said, Maharaj, you said the guru doesn't have to be liberated. But if the disciple asks him a question, what does Krishna want me to do? If he's not connected with Krishna, because if you're connected with Krishna, by Krishna's mercy, you'll be liberated, right? Because he's purest of the pure. So you're saying you're the type of, you're recommending guru who's not liberated. So the disciple comes and said, Gurudev, Guru Maharaj, what does Krishna want me to do? So I said to Maharaj, Maharaj, if the guru that you're talking about is not connected to Krishna, then where do you get the answer to answer that disciple? Like, where is this information coming from that you're giving the disciple this answer? And he said, you see, sometimes the guru gets it right, and sometimes he doesn't. But if he doesn't get it right, because he's trying to help you, you cannot complain. That was his answer. I thought he was joking. He cannot give this type of answer, right? It's like, okay, I'm going to give you some answer. I don't know where it's coming from. It might work, it might not work. If it doesn't work and you suffer, please, you have no right to blame me, because I'm just trying to help you. So if someone's speculating and you're speculating an answer, that means they're in Maya and you're going to Maya to solve their Maya. Of course they're going to suffer. And when they figure out how badly they're suffering, you can't come back and say, don't blame me, because I just tried to help you. Well, how did that help me, Maharaj? So if you want that kind of guru, what is it, like baseball, right? It's like, what's your batting average? Right? Like which percentage? Like when they throw the ball, like are you 500 hitter? Is it going to be like a 50-50 chance you hit the ball? Do you understand baseball? Or cricket? No? He's not a sportsman, he's a scholar. So are you going to leave it to chance? So why is this important? Is if we don't know the process, we don't know who to hear from, that arrangement is not made by Krishna, the intelligence and faith is not coming from Krishna, then how can you surrender? And if you don't surrender, there's no question of submissive our reception. And if there's no submissive our reception, there's no benefit or effect from the hearing process. Therefore, all the pride, all of the demoniac qualities, all of the pratishta, all of the material desires, material attachments, all of these things that's blocking us, all the obstacles, none of it will be removed. And without that being removed, there's no question of surrender. Is this too technical for you? Can you handle it?
Yes.
I hope so. It's very important. I tell you this much, I wish somebody taught me this a lot sooner in my life. I wouldn't have made so many mistakes. I wouldn't have had my heart broken or disappointed so many times if I had this information sooner. So if this information, you can take it now and apply it in your life, and it saves you some pain and suffering and aggravation and disturbance in your life, then I'll feel like I made some contribution to help you. And I just wish somebody would have explained all of this to me sooner. But I guess I had to go through all of that sometimes it's said, without the darkness, you cannot appreciate the sunlight. Sometimes we have to go through dark periods that when the sun finally comes, we'll recognize the sun. So the darkness is actually required. Otherwise, we may just miss it. So I take it like that. So this verse again today, where Prabhupada is talking about that this whole verse talks about surrender. Where is it again? The thing is, this my Gurudev just said, this is like one of this ocean that it's unlimitedly wide and it's unlimitedly deep. So sometimes it's difficult to know like which direction to go, because like every point of that is an important point. So we just have to depend on Krishna, that Krishna knows in our heart what is our question, and He knows what is our doubt, and He knows what we need to hear. So if Krishna can make somebody speak what you need to hear, that's what will give you faith and intelligence to understand how Krishna and who Krishna is using to help you. Any other questions? Yes.
Hare Krishna. So there is one question. Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
After surrendering, sometimes we feel regret.
The what?
Like we feel regret.
It says after surrendering, we feel regret, like buyer's remorse, you know.
That you didn't surrender enough?
Is that because we surrendered to wrong person? And what to do in such situation?
Cry. It's painful. Because we got cheated. You get cheated, you get hurt. You'll get disappointed, your heart will get broken. So when you come to the point that you cannot have your heart broken one more time, you'll not survive it, then you'll surrender to Krishna. Then you'll say, Krishna, I can't take one more time my heart being broken or disappointed. Prabhupada said, because you're cheating, you're not so serious, therefore you got cheated. So most people are cheating. Therefore, you need mostly cheating gurus. Right? If you say, let's just say 95% are cheating, and they don't really want the real thing, but they still want a guru for some reason. Prabhupada said, you want a guru like a fashion statement. Gucci. It's a Gucci statement. I got a guru. He said it's like having a dog, like a fancy dog, you know. They're walking around, the dog's puffed up, the owner's puffed up. Right? And you see in America, right, these dogs are puffed out. Even the dog's puffed out. It's amazing. Usually dogs are like a little bit like, I'm just a dog, you know. Over there, they walk around like, they're like acting like they own the whole street, you know. They're just prancing around, you know. The guy's a millionaire, billionaire, he's picking up the stool. He's putting on special surgical gloves, you know. Top plastic available. Biodegradable. Spinning around. Right? Then they're looking around like, put it in your pocket. Well, you got these other people, they're like, I'll hire someone to walk my dog. Right? So they hire some company. You see in California, you know, they have all these trucks running around and they're just like mobile dog massage, you know, psychologists, you know, they have all, and they show up at your house. They get your dog and they give him a massage and nice haircut, fix his nails, right? Make him smell good, right? Then the dog comes out, he's like so puffed up. He's like, it's unbelievable. So, where were we? I told you, I get lost sometimes, you know. I get onto these visions like that, you know. How puffed up the dogs are.
We feel this remorse, we surrender, that this is because we surrender to a wrong.
Yeah, so we're cheating. Prabhupada said, because you're cheating, you're not serious, you don't really want to surrender, therefore you got a cheating guru. When you really want to surrender to Krishna, if you really want to surrender to Krishna, and Krishna sees, oh, this person is really looking for me, he has to hear from me, he wants to hear from me, he's prepared to hear it and try to execute it, then Krishna will send you a bona fide guru. I mean, if the bona fide guru is a pure via medium of Krishna. Krishna is just going to use him like vessel. He's just going to speak through the guru to you. And then when you hear it, and then Krishna in the heart will say, that's what I want you to do. It's really that simple. Not easy to understand, but it is that simple. So if we don't want to hear what Krishna wants us to do, why will he send you a via medium? Does that make any sense? So because most people, they don't really want to know what Krishna wants, and we're not prepared to actually surrender because of all of this disqualification of material attachment and bodily attachment and the pride and arrogance, and we think we know better. There's no question of surrender to Krishna. No question of surrender to a guru. Prabhupada said you don't need a guru. If you don't think you have a problem and you think you have it all figured out and you think you're managing nicely, like Arjuna was, Krishna didn't say anything. When he finally figured out nothing that I'm thinking and doing is working, materially or spiritually, and he exhausted that, Then he said, okay, I admit my defeat. Then he surrendered to Krishna. Then Krishna became spiritual master, right? And then Arjuna said, Krishna is just friendly, he's just talking anything, right? And then Arjuna said, look, I need a serious discussion with you. Let's stop the friendly talks. I need to hear some heavy information now. That means you have to now act as the guru. And I'm Shishya. Now you need a guru. So if we think we're all right and we're managing well, then we don't need a guru. And then what do? We just sit around in the temple and talk about Guru Tattva. That's like the big interesting topic. Is he really a guru? Well, he was.
He was.
He was. Well, how did he become a guru? Some people voted him in. They're voting in the guru? Doesn't Prabhupada say you cannot vote in the guru? Then everybody blaming, why you voted this guy in to be the guru? You're not a guru. And they said, okay, we got to change our policy. So instead of voting for the guru, now we'll have no objection. Say, Maharaj, I accepted this guru and it was a disaster. And then the GBC says, don't blame me, I didn't vote for him. I just didn't object, but I didn't vote for him. Are we that foolish? Are we that stupid? Is voting not the same as no objection certificate? I know I'm not a smart guy. Enlighten me. Is that not the same thing? Do you want to vote for this guy to be a guru? Yes or no? You're voting. Right? This person's up to be a guru. Does anybody oppose? No. Okay, you're a guru. It's the same thing. But see, if you say this and you speak the truth, you will be persona non grata. You know what that means? You will not be welcomed. You'll be politically incorrect. You will be cancelled. This is cancel culture, right? I've been part of cancel culture in ISKCON for years. This is just a new phenomenon that came out. So it's very controversial, isn't it? Do you hear everyone in the temple speaking about this? Is it allowed? No? Did you hear it before? Any other question? Shrivas? It's like they're saying that they voted for Biden, right? The guy is like a corpse. He's like a walking corpse. He doesn't know whether it's day or night. Right? He met the Pope in Italy yesterday. And he says to the Pope that you are the most famous Negro baseball player in America. And it's being international broadcast. He's in charge of the Catholic, the Pope. The Pope. And he finally meeting him, he said, "You are the most famous Negro baseball player in America." And the Pope was like, couldn't believe it. So now everyone sees the policies, you see the results, you see the effect, and they're having a buyer's remorse. Like, why we accepted that person? That was a disaster. Right? This was horrible. Nothing good came out of that. And the most amazing thing, then you try to get out of it like a gentleman, and they won't let you out. Then it's like, what is this, the mafia? Did I sign up for the Godfather here? There's no checking out. You cannot resign from the mafia. You cannot say, it was great hanging around with you guys for a while, but I've decided I don't want to be a mafia member anymore. You think it's that easy to get out? Or you go to the head of in New York, there used to be a lot of mafia there, right? You go to the head of your gang. You go to your godfather and you say, "I've decided to go to this other godfather on the other side of town. I'm going to be in the other mafia group." You think it's going to be so easy to move over there? Now we're getting really controversial, right? This is dangerous now. I hope you're a revolutionary. You have to be revolutionary. Prabhupada said, one time I looked up everywhere where Prabhupada talks about revolution. Any place Prabhupada talks about revolution, revolutionary. I was just very curious, like, what is Prabhupada's, how does he define a revolution? Because it says a revolution of spiritual life is required. So Prabhupada said, he said, whenever people or groups of people do not accept the same authority, naturally there'll be a revolution. So you see in the world, right? Whenever within the family, within the country, if you don't accept the same authority, there'll be fighting, there'll be conflict. So if we do not accept Krishna as it is, from absolute perspective, tattva vichar, that's the ultimate authority. If you will not accept that, and you'll challenge that, then there'll be conflict, there'll be revolution. Any other questions?
So, Manik Prabhu is asking a question.
Who?
Manik.
Manik, your friend?
He's saying,
how do you know what Krishna wants you to do? It's the same question, right? And he's asked it like 12 different times, and it sounds different every time. But it's exactly this. All right, let's see what is this question. You see what I'm saying, okay? What is it? Let's see what variation. Let's see what variant of that question comes. What is the next strain of the same question?
He's asking, it is written in the purport one has to cultivate knowledge of what is actually his own. What is the meaning of own?
You see? It's the same question, right? How do you know how to get knowledge, whether it's coming from Krishna or coming from Maya? So he's saying, how do I cultivate knowledge and come to the final answer of what does Krishna want me to do? Is it Krishna or is it Maya? Right? It's the same exact question. Now it's 13 times. 13 can be good luck or bad luck, I'm not sure. But because we have love and affection for Manik, we're going to see. Prabhupada said, this is another example that he's reading the purport, right? But he doesn't understand it, and he's not come to conclusion. Very smart guy, educated person, faith in Prabhupada, he's reading the purport, he's not understanding it, and he's not coming to conclusion by whatever analysis or reading or study that he's doing. And even though he's heard it, he never really heard it. And why didn't he hear this answer that we gave 12 times before? Was because he did not trust Krishna, and he could not hear Krishna because of false ego. Krishna says, because you have false ego, you can't hear me. So because of this pride and false ego, there's no real surrender. If there's no real surrender, there's no submissive aura reception. Therefore, you cannot hear me. So we're trying to understand this by a material intellectual process. And why are we doing that? Because we believe and have faith that by our intelligence and our ability and our scholarship and our strength and our ability, logistical analysis, that we can come to understand it. Prabhupada said, even from material perspective, you cannot come to a conclusion. What to speak of spiritual perspective, right? And why do we keep doing it, even though there's no good result? Is because we believe out of false ego and pride that somehow or other we're going to come to that conclusion. And we're going to know absolutely. Prabhupada says, after this stage, one has to develop spiritual knowledge. So in the first statement, he's saying one has to develop spiritual knowledge. So how will we develop spiritual knowledge if we cannot hear Krishna inside or out through Guru, Sadhu and Shastra? How we're going to develop spiritual knowledge? Now it says, this is where he got tricked up. He says one has to cultivate knowledge of what is actually his own and what is actually not his own. That sentence confused him. Right? That means I have to go back to using my material intelligence, mind and senses to analyze from that perspective what is true, what isn't, right? What is mine, what isn't. So again, he wanted to go back. It's like it's like having a girlfriend that all you do is fight, right? You hate each other, but you won't break up. So it's a horrible experience. It's a dysfunctional relationship, and still you won't give it up. So, back again to mental speculation, right? So how exactly, and then he presents it in such an interesting way. How exactly do we cultivate this knowledge of what is actually our own and what actually is not our own? This is a very deep, esoteric point. And then once you understand everything, Prabhupada says, and when one has that, an understanding of things as they are, so he's reading that by my mental speculation and philosophical research work, I will finally come to understand what is what. And when one has an understanding now of things as they really are, then you become free from all dual conceptions of happiness and distress. And you become full in knowledge. He becomes full in knowledge, and then it is possible to surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Right? But he missed the first sentence of the paragraph. Because it says, after this stage, one has to develop spiritual knowledge. Right? And then one has to cultivate and try to understand that spiritual knowledge. You have to apply that spiritual knowledge, and looking through that absolute spiritual lens, now you have the ability to see what is what. So we're hearing it, then you have to see it, then you have to realize it. You have to hear it and apply it. Then you understand it. How is it working? So the first sentence is, one has to develop spiritual knowledge. That means transcendental, absolute, tattva vichar, actual spiritual knowledge. Tattva vijnanam, right? So you have to develop, receive through surrender and submissive all reception, perfect knowledge from perfect source, and develop faith and realization of this transcendental knowledge. Then one has to cultivate using that knowledge, and then understand and measure everything based on that reference point, that absolute reference point. And then when you see how that's working, then you will understand and put faith, oh, this is actually working. Then automatically you'll get faith that you keep applying that process to get that positive result, and the end result will be that you'll get free from all of these different types of contamination or lower material considerations. And then when all of that thing is defeated and disappeared and eliminated and dissolved, then you become full. It's not you either have it or you don't, it's no, you have it enough to apply it, to see how it works, to get convinced that it works, and then apply it more and get rid of what isn't working. Right? It's like this example, like if you have ink in the milk, inky milk, right? And then you get this huge pitcher of pure milk, and you keep pouring it inside of that container. It'll just keep spilling out, right? And you just keep putting pure milk, pure milk, pure milk, and all of a sudden, all the ink will just come out, and you'll be left with the pure milk. So the more you put in pure absolute knowledge and learn how to understand it and apply it, then all of this other type of contamination, misconception, due to this bodily consciousness and attachment will come out. Anartha-nivritti. Then your knowledge will become more and more full, more and more complete, more and more absolute. It's not yes or no, transcendental material. It's a process. That's why Prabhupada uses the word cultivation of that knowledge. So what knowledge are you cultivating? Are you cultivating absolute perfect knowledge, or are you cultivating your imperfect, faulty, contaminated, materialistic knowledge? That's the distinction. That's how he's getting hung up there. So you won't catch it just by reading. Because you read that, if you have that misconception when you read that, every time you read that, you'll read the same misconception. Until someone explains it in a way which supersedes your misconception, which is more convincing and more in line scientifically with the overall, absolute truth according to Guru Sadhana and Shastra. All right, I don't want to kill the patient. I promised you I wouldn't do that. If you're an expert doctor, you'll know. I heard one report, this person was a doctor, but he's also a politician. So he's doing an open heart surgery, and at the same time he's on the Zoom call dealing with the Congress, right? So he's doing open heart surgery, right? And he's distracted because he's talking politics on a Zoom call with the Senate and the Democrats and the conservative people, right? So don't you want the doctor to just focus on not killing you? Can he not deal with the distraction later? I was laughing, okay, he's supposed to just make this right thing, and then someone's challenging you, why are you saying like this? He's arguing, and it's oh. All of a sudden he's like, well, arguing politics, then all of a sudden in the background you hear, you're flatlining, So he's losing politically, he's losing the patient. This is not a good sign. You need a different doctor. Right? Any last thing? Yes, Sanatan?
Gurudev, you were mentioning that it's...
I could probably tell you his question too, but anyway, let's try again. It's so funny, it's because without mercy of Guru and Krishna, you'll never understand it, right? So we have different examples in Russia also. This one person especially, she always asks the same question for 15 years. So she's really mental. So I know, okay, the mentalness is getting to her, and that's getting to everybody else also. And then I just, okay, before you ask your question, let me just say, what is your question? So then I explain it, and everybody laughs because they've heard this Leela for 15 years. And then they're like, no, that's not going to be like that. I said, okay, maybe it's a different question this time, you know? And then she starts asking the question, and it's the same question, isn't it? It's just like, sounds a little different, and you know, like a few words are like, but if you really boil it down, it's exactly the same exact question. So why is she not understanding this? Pride, not surrendering, no submissive awe reception, it's not entering in, it's going in one ear and flying out the other ear. Therefore, she's acting like my question is never answered. Because she never heard the answer. So the doubt and the question remains. I'm not saying Sanatan's like that, but it could be, but let's see. Let's see what is his question. Then I'll tell you.
I have 2 questions.
Oh. Now he's like, if I have 2, I have a 50% chance that I'll say a different, Maharaj will say something different. So he's cutting his loss already. 50% chance that I can't 100% nail him. Actually, I get 3 questions.
Actually, you're mentioning that.
One time somebody, right, said, Maharaj, can I ask you a question? And I said, sure, I'll try to help you. So he asked some question, and then I just spoke something, right? And he's like, I can't believe you spoke like this, answer. And I said, why? He said, because I was going to ask you another question. And then, but I asked a different question, but you gave me the answer to the first question that I actually had. I said, I don't know, this is what Krishna gave me, so I'm just telling. So he knows what you need to hear. He knows what is your question. He knows what is your doubt. So ultimately, Krishna has to convince you. Even someone's bona fide authorized guru, he's not going to convince you. Krishna's going to convince you. And the guru knows that. If Krishna's behind him and it's authorized, bona fide, then unless Krishna purifies them, gives them intelligence and faith, they're never going to accept it. Even you say everything perfect, still they won't accept it. Unless they're qualified, and unless Krishna gives that intelligence and faith that you should accept this. So
how to develop this perfect inquisitiveness to understand about Krishna? Because you were explaining your own experience.
If you're sick of making mistakes and suffering because of the mistakes, you'll stop speculating and you'll look for an absolute answer so that you don't speculate and you don't make a mistake. Speculation means mistake. Put that one sentence in your brain. Speculation means mistake. Because it means you don't know and you're depending on Maya for your answer. Depending on Krishna, Guru Sadhu-shastra, that is not speculation. That's surrender and submissive awe reception based on faith and dependence and hearing from Krishna. That's different. So if you're sick and tired of being sick and tired by your mental speculation, then you'll say, okay, I don't want to keep doing this like that because it's always failing and I'm always suffering. So I need to 100% sure. Then you become very eager and greedy to pray to Krishna, to convince Krishna that you want to hear it, you're willing to hear it, and you're going to try to sincerely understand it and execute it. Then Krishna will tell you. Right? If you think you have it all figured out, then you'll just keep going that way. So what will stop you from doing that is the lack of satisfaction of the result. Right? If what you're speculating is opposite of what Guru and Krishna are instructing, then what is the value of your speculation? You're just depending on Maya to guide your intelligence, mind, and senses. It's a foolishness, madness. So at what point do you stop being attached and addicted to that speculative process? And it says, because you're bewildered by the false ego, Prabhupada said here, when one is free from the delusion caused by pride. So pride and false ego and bodily conception is making us think that we can understand everything and solve everything. So the pride and the false ego is causing this delusion. An illusion is caused by this pride. Unless you become free from the delusion, the illusion of listening to Maya, the pride and false ego is forcing us like that, only then can you surrender. Only Prabhupada said he can then begin the process of surrender. So until we give up this dependence on material mind, intellect, senses, which is governed, controlled by Maya, because of our pride and false ego, that we can use that process, there's no way to get out of illusion, Maya. So there's no question of surrendering to Krishna. There's no question of then hearing Krishna's advice or instruction. Krishna says, because you're bewildered by your false ego due to pride, you cannot hear me. Then you're lost. So do you enjoy being lost? Do you enjoy, not getting good results? Do you enjoy speculating and always making mistakes and suffering because of those mistakes? Do you enjoy that lifestyle? Then you'll continue it. When you can't take it again, then you'll be like, okay, I need an absolute answer. The speculation will never give me that. That's why it says, unless you give up that speculation, you cannot take the merciful intelligence that comes from Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita. So who will purify that? How you'll get rid of that false ego and that pride? When you can't even see it, you can't even recognize it, and you're attached to it, even if you could. So you're not even allowing yourself to qualify to be able to surrender. And without surrender, there's no submissive or reception, there's no hearing from Krishna. Then you just remain lost and getting more and more lost. It's a type of insanity. No peace, no happiness. Okay, I have to stop. I don't want to kill everybody here. Okay, thank you everybody. Well, wait a second, that was only one question. What's the other one? I feel like I'm cheating you if I don't answer the other question.
How to get rid of pride and false ego.
There you go. You need a guru. You need a doctor. You need what is it? Sadhu Vaidya. You need Sadhu Vaidya. You get to call Krishna's number. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. And you need a referral. Krishna needs, you have to call Krishna, I need a referral. Which doctor should I go to? Right, that's like the best referral you can get. Right? I don't know, I look in the book, there's so many names there. So many doctors, so many gurus, so many priests, so many sadhus, so many pandits, so many babajis. Right? This is my problem. I don't know how to solve it. I need really nice doctor, nice guru. Please, Krishna, kindly make this arrangement for me. Otherwise, I'm finished. I went to other doctors. He cut out my left lung when my right lung was the problem. Then I went for my kidney. It was the left kidney. He chopped out the right one instead. Now I'm missing a lung, I'm missing a kidney. But I still have faith in the American Medical Association. They referred me to that doctor. I said, should I really go to that doctor? And they said, I don't object. I'm not objecting. I'm not saying you should go, but I'm also not objecting. That's a type of cheating. All right? And then the problem is, then the guru says, you know, because Krishna is giving him intelligence to understand what is your problem, and you can't see what is the problem, and the guru is telling you, and you're like, why is this Maharaj telling me like this? What? Why is he just making this up? Is he just speculating? Like, right? Like, why he's telling me like this? And then Maya says, he's not Indian. He doesn't know our culture. He doesn't know our language. He's an outsider. He's not qualified. If you could see everything, then you don't need a guru. If you could see everything and heal yourself, you don't need a guru. If you can't see it, and it's not healing, and you just know you're sick and it's unacceptable, that means you need a doctor, you need a guru. So Krishna, please send somebody really who can help me. I'm not playing around anymore. This is life and death. Oh, I have 5 gurus, shiksha gurus, this guru, that guru, right? Okay, you're dying and you're saying you have 5 gurus. Okay, fantastic. That's really intelligent. Right, and then what is it? Like with each of the gurus, like you give them like a ball, like with a number on it, and then you just throw it in there, and then it just like bouncing around, and then you just pick out a number, number 4. Right, and then you open it up and it says, you should work with the cows. Is that how you'll come to your final conclusion? All right? But then the guru is trying to tell you, he's telling you honestly to help you, and you're like, oh, this Maharaj not appreciating me. he's mean to me, he's too heavy, it's too challenging, it's unpalatable, I think he doesn't like me. Like, what's his problem? Maybe he didn't sleep good last night or something, I don't know. So it's complex, and without Krishna's mercy, we'll not understand it, and will not have faith, intelligence to go through the purification process, and will remain in a disease condition suffering, because we're not accepting the exacting science of Krishna consciousness as it is. So that's up to us, whether we want to really understand it and apply it and cultivate it, or whether we're just going to be independent, proud, thinking we can solve everything, understand everything, and then just going on acting as own guru. Those are the two options, really. It's either Krishna, Krishna Parampara, Guru Sadhana Shastra, or Maya. And serving in Maya's family, so-called dharma, bodily consciousness, selfishness, extended selfishness, and Maya's seva, Maya's family. That's up to us to decide that. Thank you very much, everyone. Appreciate it. Shri Shri Gaurnitai ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Srila Gaur Govinda Swami, Srila Gurudeva ki, Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda ki, Gaura Premanande. Thank you for coming. I appreciate it. I stayed in Houston for some time. It was so hot. Ooh! I came from Boston. That's kind of cold place. So Houston was like, ooh, hot, hot, hot. More prasadam. This is Prabhupada's treatment program. Krishna-katha, Hari-katha, Krishna Nam, and Jagannath Mahaprasad. But this is the first time it's amazing. I should have put this on the table. Just like over here. It's okay. If you listen nicely, okay, then you get a piece of prasad, a piece of cake. And I'm listening. It's like a kid. I'm listening. I'm listening. Okay, here we go. This is your favorite moment. Krishna Prasad, Jagannath Prasad. Hare Krishna. I'm glad you're getting mercy. Hare Krishna. Am I killing the patient? No? Not too much? He's smiling. Here's my test. If he's smiling, it means he's awake. That means that the dead body has awakened. Remember, he's sitting back there with the white thing on. I thought it was like some old lady. I said, "Who's this old lady back there?" It's like, "Oh, that's Surab." That's very humble, isn't it?